Hi, I'm going to go ahead and I called to order this meeting of the BPAC for June 23rd of 2026. I now ask for a moment of silence. Do I have a volunteer to read the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, Commissioner Thomas, thank you. Vicky, roll call.
Commissioner Gonzalez is absent excused. Commissioner Martinez. Is he here?
Present.
Ewing,
Here.
Shu,
Here.
Kaiser Grand,
Here.
Chambers,
Here.
Chairperson Mraz,
Here.
ex officio Thomas,
Present.
Watkins, Sandoval, and Harmelin are not present.
Okay, thank you so much. Members of the public who wish to speak on any matter not listed on the agenda may speak during this portion of the meeting and will be allotted 3 minutes. State law prohibits the Planning Commission from acting at this meeting on any matter raised during the public comment period. Members of the public who wish to speak on a matter that is listed on the agenda will be called upon to speak during discussion of that item. Members of the public were able to leave a voicemail or email prior to 1 p.m. for this item as well. Vicky, do we have any requests to speak?
I have one from Joe Brucia at this point. We would like to ask him to come up and speak.
And just as a reminder, there's the clock up there, because I know I like a visual. I like a visual, sorry.
Thank you, thank you.
Only because I know it helps me.
You know, one reads the Fresno Bee of accidents involving electric, you want me to use a microphone? Can you hear me? Okay, are we talking to the sun? One reads in the Fresno Bee of accidents involving electric cycles about once every 2 weeks. Last week, a kid from Fowler High School just died from an e-bicycle accident. We all have seen bike riders riding against traffic, doing wheelies, and often surprising walkers on the bike path. There's only one long-term solution to this, and that is to educate our riders on the cycling laws and riding etiquette. I urge you to talk to our curriculum experts. The 3 school district superintendents are waiting to talk about adding cycle safety laws and etiquette to their curriculum. It is not part of the state curriculum. As they have a staff, they have assistant superintendents of instruction, directors, coordinators, program specialists, you name it, they've got them. And they're not doing much during the summer. This is an easy task because most of our 3rd grade to high school curriculum is already published on the web. All you got to do is find it. And that's not difficult at all. You can initiate these talks, but maybe it's easier for the Bicycle Coalition to initiate the talks, or even our chief of police. Hopefully, at the end of this meeting, one of you might say, you know, I think I'll meet with the chief of police and welcome him back from his leave of absence. He just came back, I believe, today. And maybe we could mention cycling curriculum, school safety curriculum. After all, he's got people right now, those SROs that have nothing to do during the summer, and they could work with a teacher or an administrator and put some curriculum together, and in no time at all, we can have some instruction at different times during the year, whatever's appropriate. And some of these kids will learn not to do wheelies in the middle of a street, not to pass somebody on a bike path without tooting their little tweeter or ringing their horn. And they learned it at a younger age, and it kind of stays with you. But I get the Fresno Bee. Every 2 weeks, there's an accident with an e-cycle. And every 3 weeks, there's a death. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may just quickly jump in, I would like to encourage Mr. Brucia to stick around for the end of the meeting for counselor comments, or commissioner comments. I have some information that he may find very relevant and interesting.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas.
We would like to speak up, we would like to call Gina Cooey.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. So Strong Towns Merced heard the April 2026 request for a tracking tool of commissioners' requests for future agendas. We fully support this transparency best practice and request that the BPAC submit the work product template. And I have something we can put up for me. There's 2 pages there. This template to reinforce a proof of concept. We recommend the BPAC request this tool be a recurring agenda item. And I'd just like to say that I agree with Mr. Brucia. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else, Vicki?
We have no other request to speak cards at this time.
Thank you, Vicki. Would the commission like to remove any items for separate consideration?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Thomas? Oh, apologies. Commissioner Gonzalez?
Are we matched the wrong seats? So we
Maybe.
moved. Yeah, we moved.
Sorry. Sorry, I can't see your nameplate, Commissioner. Was that one for you?
Me?
Okay, Kaiser Grant,
okay,
Commissioner
yeah.
Kaiser Grant?
Yes, I would like to be able to remove and discuss the minutes that we're approving for February 25, August 26, and October 28th, all 2025.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Martinez?
It was gonna be the same. I second that.
Okay, do we have anyone else? All right, do we have any requests to speak forms for any of the consent items?
We do not, but I have heard from Commissioner Martinez earlier in the day, and he mentioned that the February 25th meetings had a typo in them. They had 3 commissioners that weren't on the commission as being absent. So that was something that Granicus does, so we apologize for that typo. They have been fixed. The minutes in front of you don't have those names, in there anymore. So it was basically just an error. Those commissioners weren't on the commission, so they weren't absent.
We don't have minutes in front of us.
The chairperson does. We weren't able to fix them for everybody
Oh,
that
to
fast.
reprint
but
for
we just-
everyone, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're fixed now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just FYI, that wasn't my comment, so I'm still willing to
Oh,
speak when the time comes to discuss the items that were withdrawn for consideration. I do have something to say.
okay. So what do we do? Can we, I just say it like that? Can we approve the consent calendar? Do I have a motion?
Hang on a second. Aren't the minutes in the consent calendar? Okay, the review items of interest? Yes. What are they? Okay, we don't have them printed here for us because that's, we haven't been accustomed to printing since okay, here we go. Thank you. Okay. Since there were a waste of paper, if it's already provided, let's see what we have. Okay.
Do we want to approve the balance of the consent calendar?
We're going to need to go over this. I didn't see it on the packet I received. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, me too. I looked for, I clicked on all the links I could find and never found this. Mhm.
It's this portion that we're looking at.
And then,
It's just this.
oh, text. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk about each separately. There are two items, E1 and E2. E1 are the BPAC minutes for February 25th, 2025, August 26th, 2025, and October 28th, 2005. And then the second one is review of items of interest. So E1, do we want to have discussion? Commissioner Martinez?
I motion to approve August 26th and October 28th, polling February 25th, due to the Commissioner Grant's earlier request.
Actually, I asked that they all be pulled for discussion. Yeah, so I
I second her motion.
just to pull them for discussion. So we're just going to discuss? Is that right?
Right now? Yes, so we can discuss right now. So Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Okay. There was quite a bit discussed at each of these meetings, and there's, the minutes read like an agenda. There's virtually nothing on there. In my opinion, they don't constitute minutes.
That is actually correct. Minutes per our city clerk and city policies are action items only. So discussions are not written out in the minutes, but the videos are online for all to see. But when there's no action items, they're very much like an agenda. And that's per city policy.
Okay, so just as just a comment to why this occurs to me is that we used to have, when Bill King was the principal planner and he was the city staff liaison to the BPAC, or was the BAC at the time, it wasn't required to put in things that were not action items, but he did anyway because there was a lot going on. And that was, at that time, the only way the city council received any input from the BPAC by the minutes. As it stands now, they see nothing. And so if it's a requirement that anything that's not an action item not to be on the minutes, that's one thing. But if it's optional, then I believe that we need to have more complete minutes that fully represent what happened at our meetings.
Correct. At the direction of our city clerk, it's action items only.
So the city clerk gets to decide.
It's city policy.
Okay, and that's based on the council then?
Yes.
Okay, so we should
Council
take it up
direction.
with council. Okay.
Commissioner Shu.
So how can we make something an action item? If we want something to go from here and be communicated to the city council, what constitutes an action item?
I think a lot of these questions will be answered with the presentation on roles and responsibilities. And so items come to BPAC from council direction. And we can kind of go over that more once I get to that presentation.
So I guess I have a question, but it also leads into this review. I'm seeing now the review of items of interest. Can I I'd like to pull that to talk about too then after.
Do we have any other commissioner comments? Or items for consideration? Commissioner Martinez?
No, my earlier was addressed by the recording secretary as long as, like, they said that there was a typo, as long as my name is taken off that February 25, I'm okay to approve all three separate meeting notes. I just wanted to make sure that is already done. So thank you very much for addressing that, recording secretary. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, you're not, if you'd like to look at, these are the, so you have been removed from the February 2025 minutes. Did anyone else have any items for consideration about the minutes specifically? Because I have the minutes here. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for February 2025, August 2025, and October 2025? Commissioner Martinez?
A motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so all those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay.
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 So motion does not pass.
Just so that we can know who voted yes or no, can we do the vote tally detailed? If everyone just could cast your votes yes or no, and then I'll put them on the big screen?
Do I click the, oh, you'll do it. Okay, so then I just say that for us to vote, for us to cast our votes?
So actually, it's 3 yeses and 2 nos, so it motion passes. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 3. Okay, so now it's 3 nos, 3 yeses. Motion doesn't pass.
Okay, so then I go to right here. Oh, so now for item 2, discussion for review of items of interest. Commissioner Shu?
So I guess I'm not totally clear where this is all coming from. Is this collecting when we ask for items to be added to the agenda? Is that what some of this stuff is coming from? Or, because I wonder what happens to that in relation to this, or where that even goes.
This was a listing of your interests, and so we went back and listened to the items. And these were items that you were interested in.
So interested generally within meetings or in the request to add to the agenda? Period.
It was, I believe it was all during request to items to the agenda.
Okay.
So this is basically an accounting of your voice.
So why does it end up here instead of on the agenda? Because I was told that in order to add things to the agenda, we have to present it.
Again, I actually will be clarifying quite a bit once I get to the roles and responsibilities, but staff's direction comes directly from city council.
All right. So are we going to be passing this when we don't understand the full? Okay.
This is simply a listing of your past interests. So we want to document that these are the things that you're interested in. The meetings can only have so many items on the agenda. This could not be contained in a meeting. So staff has information that we would like to give to you. And so that is what's on the agenda today. And so this is an accounting of your past information, because these are mostly meetings that none of us, the staff has not attended. So we went back and listened, and this is what's on here.
Okay. I just want to note that I understand that you're new to this particular commission, but we've always had, items to add to the agenda, and we've had meetings canceled because there were not enough items on the agenda to discuss. So that is a bit of a sore point or point of frustration for sure.
So to my understanding, it didn't pass, so we will have to have it placed on again. And so in between that,
We didn't vote.
oh, sorry, not on this item, but the minutes previously didn't pass. So the same thing with this one, we would have more time to go over them after the meeting with city staff in order to be able to be prepared to approve them at the following meeting.
May I ask what we're being asked, if we're just being asked to acknowledge that these are things that the council or the commission members have brought up on, requesting that they
Correct.
be on the agenda? So
Correct.
that's
It's
basically
just a
what we're doing.
listing. Yes, it's just a listing of items that you've asked for in the past. And so
We're saying,
we're
yep, this is it.
documenting it
Okay,
for the record.
gotcha.
Who is my staff one? Is that you, Vicky?
I'm sorry?
Who's
Say-
my staff one? Oh, you? Oh, Commissioner Thomas.
So if I understand correctly, there's nothing particularly binding about this. If there's something that we later on feel that should have been added or should be considered for an agenda item, we can always add that later.
There's nothing binding
Correct.
here. This is just a document, a record of past information.
Thank you.
I guess for me, when I hear it's a document of past information, if it's missing things listed on it that we can't see because it's only in staff's records, I would feel uncomfortable stating that I approved it if I couldn't see what I was approving. So I do think that we need more information, and I would say that we don't pass it, let the staff do their presentation, give us information, and then table it to schedule maybe a meeting with city staff in between before we have another meeting so that we could go over these items and be able to ask questions and get as much clarification as we need to be better prepared for our meeting in 2 months. Motion for. And then do I make a motion for us to meet with you guys before? Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Yeah, thank you. Having written down notes while I was chair during these meetings, I can acknowledge that these look familiar as things that were requested to be spoken or to be put on agendas. What we do with it at this point is going to be going forward. And we've already realized or clarified that if we missed something and someone digs in their notes and finds it, it can be brought up at a future meeting. I think it could be beneficial to have an acknowledgement that we asked for all these things to be brought up at meetings. And yes, they will come into play in the discussion of our roles and responsibilities. But for purposes of acknowledging that we have made these requests, I think that could be valuable to document that, yes, we did. And it's not just, an idea that we did bring stuff up. No, we brought all of these things, possibly more, but definitely these. And so I think that it's reasonable to make an acknowledgement of that. That's all. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Kaiser Grant. Commissioner Thomas?
At this point in time, while I have no ability to vote, I'd like to voice my support for this, for passing this agenda item.
Thank you. Commissioner Martinez?
Just a point of clarification. So I know that our meeting minutes failed. So does that mean they'll be coming to the next our meeting in 2 months? And if that happens, would there be substantial edits done to the minutes that would suffice bringing it up in 2 months? And I just said that because although I'm only been partially in the ROAS and the BPAC, I know in previous BPAC before I was a member, there were moments where we had members who were absent. And I guess my only concern is if we don't meet quorum, any of these meeting minutes not passing, if I'm not mistaken, by city policy, the meeting minutes do not pass, the information does not get reported to city council, and then city council is therefore not able to act on such information that we discussed here, which I guess that's my point of clarification. So since it did not pass, that means that in 2 months, we will have to, again, readdress these meeting minutes.
I'd actually like to take a moment and introduce you to our Deputy City Attorney who's with us today, Rhonda Lucas, and I bet she has a great answer for that.
Hello, Rhonda Lucas, Chief Deputy City Attorney. Thank you for the invite, Leah, and introduction. Commissioner Martinez, if I understood your point of clarification, you're correct. You voted the vote was 3-3, as we all witnessed. Therefore, you did not approve your minutes. Therefore, you don't have minutes for those 3 items that will be moved on. You can ask to reconsider. You can ask that the minutes come back up, but you didn't, absent Commissioner Martinez's comments about the clerical error, noting that you weren't on the commission, so you weren't technically absent. You gave no direction to staff to substantively change the minutes. Councilmember Kaiser Grant, or Commissioner Kaiser Grant, you questioned the form of the minutes and expressed a desire for it to deviate from city policy and the city clerk's jurisdiction and role in what the city of Merced minutes look like uniformly across all commissions. But you can't unilaterally change that. And so staff has no direction on which to make changes consistent with their authority of your minutes, so you won't have approved minutes.
So because a lot of us are new, having that information prior to taking the action, I think would be more appropriate, would it not? So that we're able to effectively do our roles as there's minimal training and explanation.
I'm not understanding your question.
So like this, prior to us taking an action on the minutes, having that information, I think would have been appropriate prior to us voting.
Well, I mean, Leah explained to you why the minutes were what they were. You chose to not approve them. You can reconsider your vote. You can ask that they come back to the next commission meeting. You have options if you want to have minutes, but at this point in time, as Leah previously stated, the minutes are consistent with how the city of Merced does its minutes for all of its commissions and the city council. And as Leah appropriately stated, the video is where we record live everything that has occurred. That is available to everybody, not just the council, but it is on our website for anybody and everybody to review. But our minutes, absent the city council telling the city clerk's office to change the way we do minutes, that is how our minutes will be done, which is action items only.
And so, I apologize. Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Yeah, so I appreciate what you were saying, Chairperson Mraz, that considering that these minutes go back over a year, and we missed so many meetings in between, and don't apparently have minutes for last month's meeting, last meeting at this meeting, I think it's fair for us to say that we could certainly use the information that you're presenting before we vote on them, because they're almost, they feel irrelevant, and letting us know that the changes that were asked to be made can't be made until we approve them, that helps. And so I believe that's what you were getting at, and I think that helps to know that. And of course, knowing that the city does this with every other commission, this is the way the minutes are, understood. Of course, we can't change that unilaterally, one of us or the commission. And I understand as well that a lot of what we're talking about relates to the next agenda item, and we can maybe pursue our concerns more thoroughly at that agenda item. So thank you for what you told us.
So to clarify, I think what I heard from you is that while they're not written on the minutes specifically, city council reviews our videos and our meeting because you said that that's where all of those things are documented. So then that's how city council gets the more of the details from our meetings.
They have that opportunity. I don't know what individual council members do, but every one of your I believe everyone, absent a technological difficulty where the video is not available, and I'm not aware of that occurring in the recent past. It does happen. Every single one of your meetings is on the City of Merced's website under the BPAC page, for lack of a better term, with the hyperlink to the video. And it's not just the city council, anybody can view it.
I'm just curious about the communication between us and city council because the commissions, that's to my understanding, the pipeline of communication commissions hear on things. And then the city council utilizes that to make informed decisions.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes. I mean, I would encourage everybody to go visit Municipal Code Chapter 2.52. It's specifically to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. It lays out everything, including your jurisdiction. I don't want to steal Leah's thunder because this is for her upcoming item where she's going to go over your roles and responsibilities. But we have to, all of us have to act consistent with Merced Municipal Charter or Merced Municipal Code 2.52 as it relates to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. And that lays out, again, your purpose, the terms, the meetings, your jurisdiction, how the communication works. In short, you are in an advisory role. You don't have authority to grant or approve specific actions. You do have the authority to advise the city council. Typically, the manner in which folks advise the city council is through action items, resolutions advising the city council to XYZ. And this commission serves at the direction of the city council and staff. And that's what your jurisdiction is limited to. But again, I don't want to steal Leah's thunder. I think that's part of her upcoming presentation.
Commissioner Martinez?
If I may, I know we had a change in staff, and now we have also some of us are new, and we cannot go back in the past and change what's been done. But if I may, I would like to entertain a motion, to reconsider these agendas that failed, put them back, a motion for reconsideration, therefore entering another vote to pass the agendas just to move forward. And I heard commitment that today we're going to get to learn more from our secretary to see what our roles are, therefore we can move forward with this process.
Prior to giving a second, I'd like to know, because you stated that the minutes get sent to city council for their review and action items. Can you please, where do the action items go that they're going to be, that is our, considered our recommendation, our advisement?
I'm very sorry. I'm not sure I'm tracking. What do you mean, where do they go?
So you were saying
and what are
that
the
we're in
they-
an advisory role, we do not grant or approve, just advise. So I'm just curious, and you were talking about action items and resolutions to city council. So I'd like clarification on what that specifically is, just so I can pinpoint where it is in the minutes so that I know how that communication, because that's essentially our communication to city council. So I'd like to make sure I'm clear
Well,
that.
you didn't you didn't pass a resolution, you didn't take an action item because you voted it down. But typically in the abstract, for example, you have an item on your agenda, with respect to, the Air Resource Board Community Planning and Capacity Building Grant. If there was a specific, as you consider that item, if there was a specific advice that you wanted the city council to have as it moves forward, you would adopt a motion approving a resolution that then expresses that specific advice. And if that resolution got a second, that motion for the resolution got a second and garnered a majority vote, then it would be carried up to the city council. And it would also appear in your minutes for that meeting as an action item. That's what an action item is, when you're not just discussing, but you make a motion and the motion passes. That's how the commission acts and conducts an action item.
Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Thank you. That was really helpful. That was very, very helpful. Because if it's not an action item on the agenda, then, you know, we don't see where we have the ability to pass on advisement, but you just told us how, so thank you. As a point of order, I'd like to note that we're talking about 3 agenda items at once, in my opinion, and
Thank
we were
you.
on the second one, which is just whether or not we are going to pass the consent item on the list of discussion items that we have previously asked to have it on the agenda. So shall we do that one first and then see what's next?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is going on E2. Okay, I'd like to, is there a motion for item E2, review of items of interest?
Yes, I move that we approve this item as a legitimate list of requests that the council members, commission members have made at past meetings to be put on the future agendas.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Well, actually, no, before we move on,
Oh.
can we determine who made that second? Okay, Mylea made the second, and then if we could do all of our votes by casting your votes, and then I put it on the screen rather than saying aye and no.
Do I click the vote tally or do you? Vicky?
You
Or
just
do I?
cast your own vote, and then I
Okay.
put everyone's votes up there so everyone can see. So you can call for the vote and say, everyone cast your votes.
Okay, I call the vote. Everyone cast your votes, please.
Motion is approved.
And would we like to call to motion to redo the approval of item E1? Sorry,
No, not a problem. This is,
we're
just,
learning.
absolutely, that's what I'm here for, as well as Leah. If you would like to do a motion to reconsider, which is 100% in your purview, the person who made the commissioner who makes the motion needs to be on the prevailing side. In this case, it was a 3-3 tie. So the motion failed, even though the vote was 3-3, the motion failed. So the motion to reconsider needs to be made by somebody who voted against it.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarification.
Not a problem.
I motion to reconsider approval of the February 2025, August 2025, and October 2025 minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. May everyone cast their votes?
Motion passes with my Leah saying no. Thank you.
Thank
So that was the
you.
motion to reconsider. Now we reconsider? Okay, that's my
Okay.
understanding.
So then I'm going to ask for, do I have an approval, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for February 2025, August 2025, and October 2025? Commissioner Martinez?
I think I can now motion because I was what our deputy city attorney said before. So I'll motion that to approve February 25, August 26, and October 28.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Now, if you can please cast your vote.
Motion passes.
Okay, now I'm gonna move on to reports. Yes. Sorry, my Batman, I mean, my Robin is missing from my side. Sorry, I feel like a bicycle with the training wheels on still, so.
Okay, so.
Do you want me to announce or do you?
I can go ahead and announce it if you.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item is the report on the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission roles and responsibilities. And for those of you that have been with us a long time, some of this will be a review. And for those of you that have not seen it, this is a summary of the actual municipal code 2.52.010. The purpose of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission is to serve as an advisory body to the City Council on matters having to do with bicycling, pedestrian activity, and other modes of active transportation within the City of Merced, as well as mobility needs of the elderly and those with disabilities. The operations of the board consist of 7 voting members, 6 representing each district, and 1 at large. It looks like we have a vacancy. At least 2 of the members shall be from a recognized bicycle organization. The City Council may appoint an additional 4 members to sit as ex officio or non-voting members, and we do have one here with us today. We must elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson, which we have done. Excuse me. Responsibilities as directed by the City Council or requested by staff. So to review and advise on the design of capital improvement projects, street improvements, and parking facility projects as they relate to bicycling, pedestrian activity, or other active transportation issues. Review and advise on changes and updates to the active transportation, safe routes to school plan, general plan, municipal code, and other policy documents which relate to active transportation. Promote any and all forms of active transportation as a viable form of transportation. Assist in the development and dissemination of awareness and educational materials for all forms of active transportation to the community. Initiate requests to city staff from the community on issues of concern related to bicycling, pedestrian issues, or issues that relate to other forms of active transportation or the transportation needs of elderly individuals and those with disabilities. Meetings are held once every 2 months. If no quorum, a meeting is canceled, and that would be the reason for the cancellations that occurred in 2025. Staff will email to confirm attendance. Please respond. That's super important because we don't want to cancel a meeting that you were able to attend, but we didn't have an answer for. The meeting is subject to the Brown Act. So although, we do have some discussion items, we need to stick to our agendas. And let's see. Another thing that I noted, and there's a few more, the zoning code, municipal code is detailed. Those were basically the highlights. One question that came up last meeting was changing the frequency of meetings and the time. However, in the ordinance itself, it does dictate these items here. Meetings are to be once every other month. Another item of interest in here was that meetings are to be held during business hours. So we want to be mindful of that as we get closer to the end of our time frame. However, I want to allow for your discussion, but we still have to maintain what is the nature of the code. So those are basically the roles and responsibilities. Direction comes downward from city council to staff to items on the agenda. We definitely want to know what you're interested in, and so we memorialize that with your items of interest, and we seek to bring these items to you. Thus, this is on the agenda because many of you are new, as am I, so I had to look to it, and we have city attorney here present to assist in that endeavor. And then I also have an item that I really want to share with you, and I think that you'll be happy about and hopefully can participate in. But that's my next item, so I'm going to stick to this one. And this is for your information. And do you have any questions for me on this, or even questions for our city attorney on this, because she assisted me with looking at this municipal code?
Commissioner Chambers?
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the municipal code. Greatly appreciate that. In addition, I guess, because this was something that I did bring up last time, was then my next question is, I understand that like this is city ordinance, and how would we go about this change then to make it a city ordinance change? Just because I feel as though with something can be legal, and I understand how then can we make it more relevant to a changing world where we have e-bikes and our city is changing.
Thank you, Commissioner Chambers, for the question. Only City Council has the authority to change an ordinance. So if that were the route you wanted to take, what this body can do, not at this meeting, it needs to be, because you are subject to the Brown Act, it needs to be properly agendized and noticed at a future meeting. You could request and advise, you would pass a resolution advising City Council of your desire to change, fill in the blank. If we're talking specifically about your meeting time, it would be to amend ordinance 2.52.020 to, and then the change that you want. So to change your meeting time to whatever you're requesting. That's how you would go about it. And that's when I was talking earlier about you communicate officially as a commission, not as an individual, but as a commission. You officially, you are authorized to advise the council, and you do that through resolutions. And then you would advise the council that's what you want and request that they adopt an ordinance reflecting that. And then they either will or they won't.
And this, apologies, can the city staff support us with the specific municipal code number for that change when we want to present it? Just because you just listed off very specific numbers that I don't have memorized in my mind.
No, absolutely. So if this body decided that you wanted to make changes, request changes, you cannot make changes. You can request that the council make the changes. Request changes to the time, manner, and place of your meetings or your jurisdiction or anything of that matter with respect to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. You convey that ideally in this setting. You have open discussions and you ask staff to, you could do one of two things. You could have it as an informational item where you just have this free-flowing conversation, and at the end of that, you direct staff to bring back to the commission at your next meeting a resolution reflecting your discussion. Or depending on how convoluted or detailed the request is, you could just make your desire known, or have any one of you can have an offline conversation with staff. You individually, you cannot together as a group, because that violates the Brown Act. So if you all individually communicated with staff a desire to look at this, staff could then bring forth to you a resolution instead of having the informational session first. So one of two ways.
So that could be done, just to clarify, that could be done in between sessions, in between meetings, so that it wouldn't have to wait for us to go to the meeting and then for it to come forward on the next meeting?
I'm not sure what that is. If that is like the drafting of the staff
resolution.
report, the resolution, yes, it could.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
So busy writing down everything you just said.
Would you like us to come back? And because I have others waiting, if
Yes,
you'd like to. Okay,
absolutely.
thank you. Commissioner Shu?
First of all, I want to thank you, Deputy Attorney, City Attorney, sorry.
Rhonda.
Rhonda, great. Because what you basically explained to us about the adopting of resolutions, I had no idea. I've been on the council for commission for at least like 3 years. And as far as my recollection goes, I think we've only made one resolution our entire time, which means maybe we have been operating in a bubble where nothing has gone to city council, and I had no idea. So that is highly unfortunate, but maybe because of you that will change going forward. But wow, sorry, that's to me sort of mind-blowingly sad. But thank you. So my question is to Leah. Sorry, can you explain again sort of how things get on the agenda again? Can you go over that?
Right. So again, direction comes from council and staff. And so I will take a look at these and see what is something I can present to you at the next meeting. So my role as a senior planner involves a lot of different projects. The housing element has been the #1 thing on my agenda because we need to get the housing element back in compliance. So that's been #1 on my agenda. However, I didn't want you to feel unheard by not presenting back to you what your interests were. And so that's why you had the agenda item as just for your information, these are the things that you have listed. So in the future, as we go on, I'll go back and look over your list of interests and see what is timely and what is something that we can accomplish in an admin report to get to you for your next meeting. We can never do all of it. Honestly, with the discussions, the lively discussions we have, one item beyond just minutes is more than enough for our commission here. I recently was, planning commissions, just so that you know, planning commissions usually go about a half hour. It was a really long one last time because it was the housing element and the SB 244 and a zoning ordinance amendment. It went 45 minutes. So we need to be mindful of the time frame. And so I'm looking at that too. And so the next item is something I really want to share with you.
Okay, so just to be clear, so mainly it's city staff or probably you that is going to review and sort of decide what can come to the agenda. Okay, so I think that's stuff that's sort of being initiated from us. As far as like other things get on the agenda, is it usually city staff that says, oh, we should bring it to the
Yeah, if it's something we can do in the time frame that we have. So if you're interested in reviewing that amendment in the municipal code, what you might do is email me tomorrow and we can correspond and I can get you the actual link to where the municipal code is, the 2.52.010. But it's important that we don't have a serial meeting, which is a Brown Act violation. Thank you, Rhonda. I knew that. I could hear her feet. And so that means I can communicate with you individually, not as a group. And you may not communicate as a group outside of this meeting.
Okay, because I just wanted to mention that, so at least as far as in the past, it does seem as though there have been like various capital projects that that relate to bike paths, pedestrians, but they don't really, frequently they don't make it here, or when they make it here, it's like so far, like it's already been done and decided. And so that's sort of, and you could see in those instances where it could have come to us earlier, but it never did. And so that's maybe something I would ask.
Of course.
To be
And that's
mindful of.
what I'm going to aim for, is to
Great.
try to bring you relevancy. So it might not be something that you've expressed interest in, but it might be something else, like my next presentation.
Okay, yeah, so definitely I think active projects in the city, capital improvement projects have to do with bike paths, pedestrians. If they can come to us at the earliest stages, rather than when it's already designed and done, like that's just great, so thank
Yeah.
you.
She's good
understand.
at teasing us. We have two more and then you can move on. Commissioner Martinez?
So my first question is, if I recall correctly, at our previous commission meeting, it was stated that I see a lot of, I know I saw items on that list. That's, of course, it's for information only, but if we were to wanted to move on any of those items, that commissioners will have to also work on that item, right? It wouldn't just be city staff, like it would be city staff and the commission member. So like the commission member will also have to put some legwork in getting whatever they want to get done, correct?
Yes.
Alrighty. And then my other question is on the advisory part. I guess that's I believe that's a key word, right? Because we're not a standing commission like the Parks and Rec or planning. We're just here to advise. So we don't have a budget. We don't. All of our actions are with advice, and of course, at the pleasure of the council, they decide what comes of it. So I was just wanted to get clarification on that, because I know that for previous meetings, we have strayed sometimes away from some of the list here, right? And I don't want us to get dinged on Brown Act or any of those issues. And I know some of our commissions get to be fruitful, and they go sometimes, I think, 1 hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. And there was, in hearings, no action, right? There was no resolution. So it was just like a conversation that we had amongst the commission. But from that meeting, there was no action, nothing came up. So I guess I spilled I went on a comment. So I guess my question is, clear cut, is we're just advisory, right? We're just here to advise.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. First, I want to lead with, in the future, could this information be provided via an email or some other kind of onboarding process for new commissioners instead of as an agenda item? I think that if I had been provided with this information when I initially onboarded, as well as other commissioners, it could have saved a lot of time and grief and could have left a slot open on our agenda for something else.
I like that idea. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to just make a clarification. There was a note that many of our BPAC meetings last year got canceled due to lack of quorum. I'm aware of at least 2 of the meetings that were canceled by staff due to a, quote, lack of agenda items. I did speak with the staff member in charge of that at the time, and I'm aware of certain circumstances, but, you know, it was very frustrating understanding that there were other agenda items that could have been brought forward and were not. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Kaiser Grant, are you ready again?
Yes, some of the things that I was going to speak of, other people have. That'll save a little time. I want to echo what Commissioner Thomas said, and that is that a meeting was canceled for an apparent lack of quorum 8 days before the meeting was going to be held. That's not a lack of quorum. And it also had something scheduled for it, which was a Brown Act presentation. So it said it was December of 2025, I believe. It was canceled, even though we had a scheduled item at minimum, and we had no reason to believe that we couldn't make the quorum. So I'm a little concerned, I'm very concerned that if people don't respond, then a meeting can be canceled with a presumed lack of quorum, when in fact it might have been an email that got buried in the other 100 that the people received that week. So in addition to that, people can come to the meetings. This is the public come. If you say we have nothing on the agenda, which we can see with our list, I can understand why if nothing was able to be prepared. There's certainly not a lack of ideas, but the community members can still need their opportunity to come and speak their piece, whether we have anything on the agenda or not. And so we had half of our meetings canceled last year. And we talk about planning commission meetings can be shorter. They meet more often. And it would be concerning if all of their meetings were that short and they only met twice or 6 times a year, because they have a whole lot of responsibility. So I would say that, even if you don't think you have a quorum, we still need to meet. We still need to come in here and see who shows up. And
We legally can't do that.
but if you don't, do you have to say, if you don't answer, then we can't, then you've just basically said you're not coming? Because
There's specific, well, if we were to be here at the time that the meeting starts and we didn't have a quorum, we could not have
sure,
a hold
you
of
can't.
meeting.
But what I'm saying is that if you think you don't have a quorum, you haven't heard from everybody, they may still come. And so it's upsetting.
Right.
that
And there was
council always
folks that we
think they
didn't
can't
hear
come.
from today, but we're still here.
Excellent, yeah. But I'm pretty sure that we just blew off a meeting last December for nothing. And that's, again, it's pretty upsetting. That wasn't on you. A person's gone or someone's gone, we can throw them under the bus. But hopefully in the future, we don't have that happen.
Thank you.
There are a few other things. The list of, it was quite an emphasis, it's staff and council who tell us what we, can do and say what they want to have advice from. But the very bottom one was we bring forward community interests, and every one of us is a representative. No one's just up here thinking all on their own, this is what I want, this is what I want. Anything that we're asking for, that's all from the community. And I'm pleased to know that we have a method for bringing that to the council, to the attention of council. In fact, I do recall that having been done in the past, the staff would say, well, what you can do is make a resolution. And they talked us through it. It's been some time since that has happened. I would like to just get a little clarification. When you said that we can individually speak with you
Yes.
after a meeting.
You can email or call me.
Okay. And to get something brought up and put on the next agenda, does that mean something that we had discussed and we can further discuss it with you individually, or something that someone brings to us the day after the meeting and says, hey, this is really important, and I talk to you about it, and that can go on the agenda as well, even if it wasn't brought up at the meeting just prior? Because that's what
I
it
think I
sounded
would
like.
seek my managers and legal approval on that. But if it was something that was very timely, and maybe there's a bike rodeo or something going on, and it occurs after our meeting, and it's something you want to endorse, I think it's really situational.
I think that, speaking of situations, we're in a situation where it's 2 months before we can even get to the next meeting. Meeting's canceled, it's 4 months, it's 6 months. And so my sense is that anything that we bring up in a timely fashion that can be put on the agenda, even if we didn't talk about it, even if it isn't an event happening tomorrow, I think that given our situation, that really deserves strong consideration for.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Strong consideration. Also consider there's 6 of you and plus our ex officios and 1 of me. So we'll talk
Yes.
about it.
I was just thinking you need someone that you can delegate to.
I know. I would love that.
I think also just us working out the communication with you and being more familiar with the processes, we'll be able to start now having discussions during the meeting for resolutions and knowing how to specifically ask for things to be in line with what we're trying to do so that we can get those advisements over. And then also resolutions for, like today, we could put on to make it a resolution, to move the meeting time, to all those things that we had asked. And then if you need to ask us to prioritize those things, I think that would be something we could do, correct?
I think a prioritization would be nice. Not
And then we
today,
can-
but
And we can ask people to come ourselves to meetings, correct, for presentations, or do we have to have the city ask? Like, do we have to ask you to ask them?
yeah, I that would be it would have to be agendized.
Okay, they could
So
come during
staff
public
controls the
comment?
agenda. So of course, anybody can come during comment, absolutely.
Okay, but then for it to be longer than 3 minutes for a formal presentation would need to be an action item, and we could do that just by emailing you or calling you.
Coordinate with me so that
we can see if there's room on the agenda based upon whatever else might be going on.
Yes, wonderful. Like those grants from the city and from the UC, I would like to, I'm sure all of us would like to be hearing about them, especially since we only meet every 2 months. It would make sense to me that every 2 months we would have some kind of update. Commissioner Chambers?
Thank you. A question that I had was, aside from a lack of quorum with, not enough voting members, correct? What else is in the city ordinance that would constitute meetings being canceled? I don't think that we've ever had
So
that
the
clarification.
cancellation of a meeting is not covered in the code as far as like other reasons. But if we had staffing difficulties, and what I was told is that it was for lack of quorum. So I'm just letting you know what I was told. And it's my involvement is new to this role. But I mean, I couldn't fathom if I got sick, something like that. Hopefully there'd be somebody to be in my place. I couldn't, yeah.
Yes, I totally understand. You're human, and that is something that does happen. People get sick. Things can get canceled, I guess. So I guess to get some clarification, I would want to know, is there anything in addition to that to kind of say, hey, this is what would happen if we didn't have, if we can make it? Are we to reschedule? Are we to not have it like how we have had before? This is something that I think, at least for me, I'm just speaking for myself, of how are we going to move forward in the future for this?
Well, I think we are moving forward very efficiently, and I'm here with you. I can't speak to whatever's happened in the past, but I have it on my calendar in 2 months from now to be here, and I'm going to be looking at what we can put on the agenda. So I'm here.
And we appreciate you working with us on this, Leah.
I'd love to talk to you about the next item.
We have one more person. Commissioner Chambers, were you done? No worries. I just wanted to make sure. Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Yep, that's me again. I wanted to respond to the comment from Commissioner Martinez said about us being not like the Parks and Rec Commission. We're just advisory. The Parks and Rec Commission, it's just a commission too. But I also want to emphasize that we're not, that being just advisory is not a derogatory or a lesser thing. It's super important, and it's important the ways that we've learned today or relearned that we can be more effective at advising. And over the long run, changes, we are having an effect. And just a tiny little bit of a history, at the very beginning of the BPAC, we were actually asked to get involved as, I guess maybe they're like, okay, here you are, and this is an official commission thing to do, and we were doing surveys all around town. The staff divided up the town into parts, and we all were counting numbers of bicycle parkings and et cetera, et cetera. So we started off with a history of being an active and taking action group, and that's kind of stuck. But being an advisory thing is super important, and we're just as good as the other commissions in the city, in my opinion. Okay, I can save other comments for later, and I kind of want to hear what Lee has to say, so I'm going to shut up.
All right. Well, I think we're all excited to hear what you have to say, Leah. So without further ado, go on to the next presentation.
All right. Do you want to announce that for me, Vicki? Can you announce it? I don't have my agenda. Can you announce it? Can you read it? Can you read the item on that? Because I don't have the agenda.
Item F2, California Air Resources Board Community Planning and Capacity Building Grant for the Connect South Merced Safety and Mobility Planning Project.
Thank you. So I want to explain to you what this is, and I can let you know that it was recently, I have to preface it by letting you know it was recently adopted by resolution. The council has accepted the grant, and I'm really excited because you talked about wanting to get involved, and I think this might be your opportunity. So the CARB, we call it CARB, it's the acronym for California Air Resources Board. So the CARB Planning Grant is a state-funded program that supports community engagement and transportation planning in disadvantaged communities. Over the next 2 years, the grant will allow the city to work with South Merced residents to identify transportation needs and priorities. The grant focuses on mobility-related issues, including pedestrian safety, bicycle connectivity, public transit access, and reducing transportation barriers for underserved neighborhoods. Community input will help shape future transportation investments and improve access to jobs, schools, healthcare, parks, and other essential services. The project is called the Connect South Merced Safety and Mobility Planning Grant under CARB. We typically just refer to it as CARB. The city's long-term goal is to pursue the Transformative Climate Communities Implementation Funding that will support broader neighborhood improvements and revitalization efforts. So the CARB grant is let's plan for it, and it's going to leverage us to be able to get implementation funds from the TCC. Back in 2023, we took a planning grant to council, and it was the TCC grant at that time. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in attaining that grant, but participation in the CARB planning grant will strengthen further applications and better position the city to pursue that TCC planning and implementation funding that we're already in discussions and reviewing. TCC implementation grants provide significant state investment for projects identified by the community, supporting neighborhood revitalization and improvements related to housing, transportation, public health, economic development, parks, and environmental sustainability in South Merced. With the help of the outreach and engagement activities that will be supported by Valley Onward and the Lau family, and funded through the CARB planning grant, the city will better position to pursue the TCC planning grant and build upon the work already underway rather than just starting over. The two programs, CARB and TCC, are intended to complement one another and not duplicate efforts. Together, those programs create a strategic pathway: CARB planning, TCC implementation, positioning the city to complete for future implementation funding and bringing additional investments to South Merced. Accepting the grant allows the city to leverage outside funding, and it was a little over $400,000, and it doesn't require the use of general funds. The grant was accepted by council, and staff will be returning to council at the next meeting to authorize an administrative assistant position, to support the grant administration and to work on the community engagement activities. The position is fully funded through the grant and will only exist during the duration of the grant. This grant is more than just a planning effort. It's the first step in a broader strategy to bring additional resources for long-term community-driven impact and improvements to the South Merced neighborhood community. And this is an opportunity. And that's my information to you.
Super exciting. I do have a question. So you mentioned Valley Onward and the Lau family nonprofits. So they're already selected, or what is their capacity with?
Right. We had to find a nonprofit agency that fit the requirements of the grant to partner with us. And it was specifically for the South Merced community, which is defined by the areas south of Highway 99. And so these communities have worked with us, or these nonprofits have worked with us in the past. And so Valley Onward has promotoras, I think is what we call them, Jen. And I'm going to introduce my partner too. I know she's sitting back there, but Ms. Jen Flockman, she's our PIO, and she is head of the city's grant writing community. I'm a part of that as well, and we are charged by council to go out and try to attain these grants that would be helpful to our community. And a lot of times in my role as a planner, they've been related specifically to housing. And so this one's really exciting because it fits with your mission to engage our community on bicycle safety activities. So yes, we have some assistants that were supportive of the grant and had to document that they would be able to go out into the community. It's a very grassroots effort, and we have a large Hmong population and Hispanic population in South Merced, and so they're able to communicate in those languages as well as English, of course. And so they'll be out in the community talking with people, and we'd love to have you talking with people. So that's what we'll be doing here over the next couple of years, is really diving deep into talking with our community, engaging them, seeing what works for them. I imagine that some of you may very well live in the South Merced community, and I would love to have future chats with you about what you see is important for traffic safety, bicycle safety, and talk about that. So that way we can work towards implementation of actual material in the future.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
I'm going to hold off for a few minutes to hear what other people have to say. Thanks.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Let's see, I've got a few points of clarification that I want to hit on. First is, I assume that these results are going to be, the results of these surveys are going to be, and studies are going to be published for everyone to review, for the general public?
Absolutely. There'll be deliverables.
Perfect. Let's see, when you say TCC, if I'm not mistaken, that's a state level fund, isn't that for?
I believe
that
so.
comes
The
from the state of
Transformative
California?
Climate Communities Grant.
Is that the same grant? I'm not sure if you would know this. Is that the same grant that the High Speed Rail Authority recently secured a commitment of long-term funding out of from the state?
I'm not aware of that.
No, it can't be though. It doesn't match the funding cycle, so no.
Okay. Okay. I was kind of wondering if that pool shrunk on us. Let's see. Another thing that I was kind of curious about with these with the CARB funds to do these studies, is there any potential for any kind of action to happen, or is it purely just investigational?
It's strategic planning. That
Okay.
is the nature of the grant that is CARB, strategic
So-
planning only.
And I'm back on the ambulance. I was a paramedic for 15 years, and I'm back in the ambulance. And coming at this from the medical perspective, one of the things that is done when sometimes in medicine when you're doing a study is you do an interventional study, right? You intervene, and then you observe the results. Is that a possibility? Can we say, hey, can we use some of this CARB funding to say, put some flexi posts up on some intersections and see if that reduces collisions and
Unfortunately, no.
accidents? I see. Okay. I think that covers all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Chambers?
Thank you so much for that report. While you were speaking, and in addition to what CARB is trying to support in our community here in Merced, I had a question specifically that kind of pertains to what's kind of going on also here, specifically when it comes to strengthening our local communities and increasing, transportation equity within the South Side and downtown, along with North Side Merced. I know that this was brought up in previous meetings about the crosswalk on 16th Street that was removed, specifically the one that was right in front of Bob Hart Square, and how that is an important crosswalk that can have our pedestrians or our bicyclists connect with our downtown Bob Hart Square events that are happening along with downtown. And so that was one item that I think as a commissioner, I would like to see what is going on.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Flack, but I'm the Public Information Officer, Senior Management Analyst, and Leah gave me too much power. I support the grant writing program for the city, and I was involved with the Transformative Climate Community Grant writing back in 2023 when we submitted. They're both competitive grants. And so what this grant will do will allow South Merced residents to give that kind of input to the community-based organizations that we're partnering with, the Lau family and Valley Onward, to determine what would be, I guess, productive as far as transportation goes, all of those modalities in South Merced. So conversations like that will be had during the process of outreach for these grants. And so all of those types of questions will be taken into consideration during our community outreach phase, or I guess I would say during the grants community outreach phase. I don't know, does that answer your question? So things like crosswalks or barriers to transportations, those would be discussed during the process so that we can determine what's important for our South Merced residents and community at large.
Thank you so much.
Briefly, it does address a small portion of it, but for me specifically, how quickly that crosswalk was removed wasn't necessarily given any type of counsel or recommendation or brought up and so we would, as part of the advisory, we would love to see how does that process come about and how does that process is given when it comes to removing a crosswalk and putting in a crosswalk.
So pardon me? Right, but I think what we can do is report back on the progress as the grant continues through the process. I think there could be reports back to this commission on the progress that we're making and the items that are being discussed. I don't know that that specifically would pertain to this, the activities in the grant, but I know that our admin analysts that will be assigned to this, and Leah and I that are supporting the grant would be able to report back on the progress or the conversations we're having as part of this planning grant.
Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Yes. You mentioned, did we call you Leah? Is it okay to call you Leah?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay.
Please.
You mentioned that there's something for us to do. What exactly do you want us to do?
That's a great question. I want you to talk about it. I want you to share it with people. Talk about the fact that we are doing research specific pertaining to our South Merced community, and we really want input. Encourage your neighbors, if you live in South Merced, to, be open to the Promodoras, the Lau family coming in and talking with them. They're going to be hosting activities and events and coffee shop conversations. And so I will keep you apprised of those actions going on and be a spokesperson for it, because we want feedback from people. And this grant is specifically geared towards our South Merced community that often doesn't speak out. And so they're going to be going into the communities and they're going to be talking at, faith-based groups and asking for feedback. And they're going to be going to different areas. If there's a community organization that we could tap into, if you're aware of an organization in that area, for the past few years, I've been involved in a South Merced community group based out of Merced Community Action Agency. And so I've been able to meet a lot of people that live in South Merced. I don't live in that neighborhood, so it was really great to interact with them and hear what their needs are. And that particular action was specific to housing inequalities, and it's actually a little part of this too. But where I'm at now with you, I want to know more about safety and what's happening down there and bicycles and having that conversation.
Will you give our contact information to the Valley Onward and the Lau family?
If you would like.
And absolutely, the community that the improvements and so forth are directed at need to be very well represented. It sounds I don't think you necessarily mean it this way, but it does feel like perhaps it's exclusionary as, you know, if you don't live there, we want you to share the word, but we don't want to hear from you. I know that there was quite a long time when I bicycle commuted into the South Side for meetings, for substitute teaching. And even if I didn't, the quality of the, active transportation and mobility infrastructure is of interest. Do you know if any kind of boundaries are being put on the participants?
So there are no boundaries on participants. This is specifically to gather information on transportation and mobility in South Merced and hear it directly from residents of South Merced. I think what we would ask of you, since you all have your networks and you're representative of our BPAC community, is that you help us reach out to folks that would like to get involved or that want to have a voice. But no, it's not inclusive to just South Merced community, but it focuses on South Merced. And, pardon me?
So if you ride your bike in South Merced, you are a user of the South Merced neighborhood. And I think all of you probably ride all over town. And so you have distinct knowledge that maybe those of us that don't ride all over town would have. And so that voice needs to be heard. Does that help?
Thank you.
Could I elaborate a little bit on her request just to make it sound like more request? Can we request the Valley Onward and Lau family invite us to every activity they do in regards to that so that we can have an opportunity as commission members to try to get to those that we can? Is that like to be on their listserv for when they're planning these items?
I think what we can do is we can list all of the engagement activities, and so there will be a lot of opportunities. And so I think via social media, the website, like I had shown you, I've given you links to different meetings that you could listen in on or participate on, attend individually. So we would continue to do that with you. So that way you're aware of the different activities that are going on and that you could individually participate. And again, I go back to the idea of the Brown Act. We have to be careful not to gather. We do have an Engage Merced project site also. And so it would be on there as well, right? Yep.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas?
Thank you. I also just want to know, is the city itself going to be performing any outreach to the public on this, like we've seen with the general plan update?
Absolutely. We are hiring an admin assistant full-time that is funded by this grant.
Okay. Do we have any kind of idea what that looks like yet, or no?
We're in discussions with HR about that now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think also just side note that creating jobs, right, through the grant is beautiful because we have a wonderful, amazing people that commute out of this city and county every day that are great minds, that have great skills. And so finding more opportunities to have jobs, to house them here and to have them being applying those skills and efforts to our local community, I think that's a really amazing thing with the grant. Commissioner Hsu?
So when does the outreach begin?
As soon as the grant has been executed, so we don't yet have our standard agreement yet, do we? Do you want to answer that?
We're in the process of getting onboarding information from the CARB Planning Commission or committee, so we don't have a date when that outreach will come. We have to hire, so Leah and I will be starting that. Yes, and then that person that comes in will be supporting those efforts.
Okay, and so the goal of the outreach to the community is to identify where there are barriers with like active transportation, public transportation, is that right? And trying to identify like specific, are you trying to come out with like specific locations where you'll focus like for the TCC grant? Is that
So
the goal?
in a sense, yes, we'll come out with a plan. So the deliverable will be a plan for mobility, active transportation, and so that will be discovered through the process or created through the process.
Okay, so, but you are seeking from the community, trying to narrow that down, and then also, is it also about trying to propose like solutions for how you would address it?
Ultimately, yes, that would be the goal, because with the solutions, then we would need the funding for it. And so again, it positions us better for the TCC grant, which is the solution end of it, the implementation, the actual goods delivered.
Okay, so the reason why I ask is because just an observation of that, the previous grant that had come to us at last meeting was the ATP grant. That one, so we saw a list of proposed projects that had been brought in, and so I think, well, so I'd asked the city engineer, where did the various sort of solutions come from? For example, there were Hawk systems, there were like a lot of light signal systems, and he said that it wasn't the engineering, it was the city that proposed those. But I did try to identify the fact that like we had a local road safety plan that was approved a couple, like maybe a year and a half ago. And in that, it identifies that the Hawk system is not necessarily it's expensive, and that it's, you know, preferable for like larger like, you know, multi-lane roads, as well as like, you know, streets that don't have parking on the side, things like that. And that there are other solutions that, according to that toolkit of proposed, this will be essentially the safe systems approach, that they would, that there are better solutions, essentially, the ones that are cheaper and actually lead to safety on multiple levels, reducing car speeds. And I was told that I should go to or make those notes on the city website, which I think it was Imagine Merced or Engage, whatever the website was. And I did that. And in the end, the proposal actually added more Hawk systems. So it was like 10 Hawk systems on like 2-lane roads. Like, so that was a little disturbing. It did seem to take in public input, but then the result was something that seems like a uniform, like let's just use Hawk systems everywhere, which are extremely costly, but then also there's high maintenance issues. So I guess I want to make sure that there is a filling of the gap of information, of existing tools or solutions that actually make sense, are going to benefit the community truly, versus ones that just dig a deeper hole for maintenance costs and actually don't improve safety or slow down cars. So I guess I'm looking to you as to how we can prevent that sort of situation from happening again, if that makes sense.
So I really can't speak to something that the city engineer did. However, what we're doing is we're basing our information on prior studies and taking community input. And so I don't know how to address that, but I definitely can tell you that we're looking at talking with our community, looking at the past studies, looking at the local road safety plan, because a lot of that did have to do with South Merced. It wasn't just one area, right? So we're looking at layering these studies upon each other to make the best decisions. And that's the goal, is to make the best decisions for the community going forth.
Okay, well then I think I just want to reinforce the importance of looking at that local road safety plan and making sure that the nonprofits that are engaging the public are highly aware of the variety of tools. Sorry, I'm not, I sound very like tutorial. I'm not trying to, I know that you weren't part of that. And I feel very strongly that we should not have these plans and things sit on a shelf. They are potentially very effective tools that we have to get the information out there so that they can actually be used and implemented versus just,
Absolutely.
same thing over and over. Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Martinez?
Yes, so just, I guess a little clarification. So this is just a report, right? There's no adherence action being asked for us. This is just you giving us.
This is just information for you.
Thank
Correct.
you. Yeah, thank you. And on that note, just to say I'm really excited. I know I've been a member of Merced for years now, and I've participated in various city councils on my other hats, and I'm just excited that South Merced is getting the love they're getting. I know our previous city manager, Dietz, also worked a lot on gaining some grants, and it's just great, I have community members that I know over there, friends, and although I'm District 6, so I'm part of the North Merced over there by the UC, is just beautiful that the city is enacting on this action. And I know promotoras are great. They are a great connection to our community. They know the community needs. They understand. They have cultural competence, and I think the cultural competence is the best thing out there. And honestly, I want to commend you for reporting this. I'm really excited to see what comes about because, man, South Merced needs the love. So I'm excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to share that South Merced has a lot of our continuum of care. BHRS, our public health department, there are some very important components to the design of our city and how we care for our community that are located there. And a lot of our population that is on foot is housed in the South Merced side, and crossing under that freeway, crossing into that very industrial part, they have to go through that to get to downtown, and places where a lot of the heart of our community is, where we gather, and there are free activities especially, which really helps build inclusion and diversity and are put on by our wonderful Parks and Rec department and other city components like promotoras and nonprofits like the Mercado. And so having it be a place and a pathway for them to move about safely. And then that also creates more safety for those that are driving in vehicles. So I wanted to ask, is there a way that after the feedback comes, because you said that these are based off of prior studies and community input, how do you guys document that to show that it was based off of those decisions and that those were factored in? I think that would kind of help us know that we were heard, or those that, shared things were heard, and so that they were taken into consideration prior to the decisions being made.
So the grants require reporting. So there will be extensive reporting out to the state CARB and you.
So I think to clarify a little bit more, for example, Councilman Chambers asked about, I think what she was trying to ask was how do we get involved prior to a decision like a crosswalk being removed or an altered state of infrastructure? How does it come to us prior to getting put into action so that we can help with the advisement? Would that be appropriate?
Rhonda has something to say on that one too.
I'm not familiar with the specifics of the grant, so I'm going to answer broadly. And again, under the municipal code, if the city council directs, then yes, that would be appropriate.
So what is the pathway for it to, because I feel like so I'm just trying to understand the information system. So if we're supposed to advise city council, wouldn't we need to hear about it prior to city council to give our advisement so then they could make a decision based off it? Or
so if you read your the jurisdiction of this commission, you are to review and advise the city council as directed by the city council or staff on these types of issues. I think as part of the outreach and community engagement, the city council directed staff, if I recall correctly, to go after these types of grants. They did in that direction. They didn't say, and we want you to, give a role to BPAC. They chose to keep it in their umbrella on this one. That doesn't mean they won't change in the future, but pursuant to Merced Municipal Code, I know one of you likes to write it down, 2.52.060, jurisdiction of the commission. You review and advise the city council as directed by the city council or requested by staff.
What is the pathway for us to ask city council if we could take a more active role? Would that be the resolution and request for them to review that?
Yes. And then obviously individually, you could each reach out to your individual council members as well. I mean, you always have that right as a citizen and member of the commission as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaiser Grant? I mean, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
It's okay, you just gave me a free promotion to council member and didn't have to. Okay, so looking at the responsibilities as directed, et cetera, the bottom one again, initiate requests to city staff from the community on issues of concern, et cetera. So we don't have to wait for the city to decide whether we get to look at it or not. I mean, that's part of our remit as well. We're supposed to look at those sorts of things. But if they forget to let us know, then we can make the request with the resolution. Okay.
And consider too, we're going to let you be a part of the engagement. So your voice will be heard in that way, just as every resident or person who traverses through South Merced would have a voice on what they're seeing in that area, because that's what the whole purpose is for you to have a voice. You may not be shouting from here, but you might be on the street talking with our promotores and providing feedback that way.
So in a way, we're getting a little bit of an early notice.
Yes.
Right here.
Exactly. You got it. And your voice would be reflected in the reports, the deliverables.
Okay, do we move on to the next? I don't have any
Yeah, let's go ahead and move on so that way we can, I would request that we try to contain our comments so that staff can be completed by 6. It looks like we already had staff that had to leave. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Thomas?
All right. There's a decent amount of stuff to get through here, but I should be able to get through it fairly quickly. So that's good news. I wanted to address the subject of bike etiquette that's come up quite a lot with the groups of kids on bikes and the bike path sharing or the multi-use path sharing. I managed to speak with Lieutenant Haygood at Merced Police Department last week. I found that to be a very fruitful conversation. He's in charge of the traffic division for Merced PD. He stated that while school is out, the school resource officers are sort of doubling as bike patrols. They're out on our multi-use paths and intervening where they do see people using those paths inappropriately and trying to do some education there. And they're also trying to reach out to some of these kids because a lot of times the school resource officers know who these kids are that are out there roving in packs. Additionally, Merced PD, he told me that Merced PD is going to be looking into additional grant funding for bicycle education. It's something that they, I'm not exactly clear on the circumstances, but the funding ran out a year or two ago. And that's sort of fallen off, but they're looking at it again. Additionally, Merced PD Traffic Department is internally tooling to address these kids on these hordes of kids on bikes and trying to deal with that. I was told that a lot of times these kids are actually on mountain bikes. Sometimes they are on e-bikes, but a lot of times they're just on regular mountain bikes, or they're on illegal mopeds, which fall outside of what California defines as an e-bike. Let's see. Another thing that came up is that in many cases we already have the tools that we need to address these issues. We just need to apply them, and we are working on applying them, as I understand it. I also spoke with council members Smith and DuPont separately. It's my understanding that the city council has these issues on their radar. They are working on coming up with a solution to address some of the misbehavior. Specifically, it's with regards to the groups of kids and sort of the reckless behavior that you see in traffic, which we already have. That's already covered under the California Vehicle Code because bicycles are considered vehicles, and if you operate a vehicle recklessly, you're subject to the law. Let's see. I did encourage each of the council members to invest in signage. I independently looked into some pricing for traffic grade signs. It's pretty affordable. It came down to like $30 a sign, which I can afford that, and I'm fairly confident that the city can probably shake down a couch and come down with that money. Let's see. And then I've also encouraged the council members to invest in infrastructure designs that separate bicycles and pedestrians for future multi-use path designs. Fundamentally, bicycles and pedestrians are moving at two completely separate, non-overlapping speed categories. They don't belong in the same space. And what I've seen in other cities that have been dealing with this challenge is they've taken their multi-use paths and they've basically split them in half up the middle and put like a 2 foot wide greenway in the middle to sort of ensure that those uses are separated. And I think that's going to be a little difficult to change on our existing stuff, but hopefully with council's direction, we can make those changes for future multi-use path implementations. I hope that information is helpful and encouraging to some of our audience members. That's all I got.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Thank you. First, I want to make sure that I'm on the right agenda item. Are you taking requests to add items to future agendas?
Yes, I'm on item G1, request to add items for future agendas.
Okay. Okay. Just checking.
Sorry,
Missed it.
what
I thought we were on commissioner comments.
I apologize.
I would like to speak to a couple of things that were brought to us by the public. We were asked if we could bring back or rethink the tracking tool to be used for tracking what we've been asked to do, what we are doing. There was an example given. It didn't show up on the screen, but if that could be shared with us and with the staff as an example of just keeping track of what we've been asked to do, and are we doing it, and if we are deciding to engage it, do we keep up with the follow through, and that perhaps this could be on an agenda item in the future. It's something that's been brought up in here a few times, and it's nice to have an example. I also would like to see us address, we've had some serious requests to look at bicycle education of bicyclists as far as etiquette. I would like to remind people of what we did in the past. It's been years and years, but we had a similar request to the BPAC a long time ago, and we came up with three points for both pedestrians and bicyclists, because I only hear this coming at what's wrong with the bicycle riders, but in reality, it goes both ways. There's a lot of difficulty navigating bike paths, multi-use paths, et cetera, with the way pedestrians sometimes choose to use or with unthinkingly use the way. So perhaps we can dig up, maybe I can dig up, you asked us to do a little work for these, what we came up in the past and find ways to publicize it. And I won't go into discussions on particulars because that's not appropriate at this point. That's it. That's it for my comments on G1.
Thank you. Commissioner Martinez?
Just since we have still council here, just a quick point of clarification. So we cannot act right on actions that were given today during public comment, right? That will have to be acted on at future meetings due to state law.
Hello again, Rhonda Lucas. You're correct. In order to comply with the Brown Act, you can only take action on items that are properly noticed and agendized as action items.
And then second, I know we're talking about G1 business, but if I'm not mistaken, if there's not a motion for a resolution, it's just comments, right? There's no action being given.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, for example, if I wanted to have the resolution looked at for city council for moving the time to 6 p.m. and having more frequent meetings for this commission, I would say what?
So if you want to have that as an action item for a future meeting, you would say, basically just what you just said. I would like at a future meeting, this body to be given the opportunity to consider a resolution to city council requesting, and you don't have to be.
Just because I asked about it at last meeting and no one told me to specifically say that, so shouldn't it have been on the action items for this meeting?
I mean, should have been. I'm not
Because
sure.
I felt like most of the people on the commission were in agreement with moving it to 6 o'clock, especially because the community.
But you guys
often-
can't move it to 6 o'clock. You can
The
only
city
ask the
council-
city council to consider changing the ordinance that would then
Yes.
allow. And
Yes.
to be clear, not to be too much of a nerd, more than I already have tonight, but one other important point, you'll be acting through resolutions, typically, actually exclusively. But your authority, your jurisdiction is an ordinance. So I just want to be very clear because I'm not sure you guys have been informed of this part. There's a process that applies to the city council in state law that with very limited exceptions, if they are changing an ordinance, that has to be publicly noticed and heard. Again, I'm talking at the council level, so I'm just trying to give you an expectation of timeline. It has to be publicly noticed and heard, at which point it gets a first reading. If it is passed under its first reading with no changes, it then at a next meeting is the earliest it could happen, gets a second reading. And then if it is passed at the second reading, because it is an ordinance, there's a passage of time before it takes effect. And again, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just trying to educate you so that you have a realistic expectation of the procedural process and hurdles and the timeline associated. Back to your world, what you have control over, you would ask for an action item that would be a resolution requesting city council pass amend ordinance 2.52. And then if they accepted that, then the process I just alluded to is what would occur. So I don't want you to think it happens like overnight. It doesn't. Sorry.
It's okay. I talked about it at meetings and then it doesn't go anywhere. So having the information and then figuring out how to get it on so that it can make some progress is what I was looking for, because like I shared, I had spoken about it previously and it wasn't on here to start making movements towards that. So I would like to amend, I would like to motion for a resolution to amend. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you can't make a motion because it's not agendized, but
Okay.
you've made it clear to us.
Okay.
Excuse me. So you've made it clear to us that you would like this as an action item on a future meeting. And that's sufficient. That's that's
And then do you
sufficient
guys
direction
need
at this
any
time. I
more
think, Leah,
detail?
you're clear on what she's seeking.
Correct. And I'll circle back with you
Yes,
on
we'll
the
work together.
procedure. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and do you need more detail on like time and what I'm proposing for it to be amended to?
If you are prepared for that, yeah.
Uh,
But you guys can't discuss it because it's not agendized. She's just instructing us.
So Rhonda, would that be an occasion for Chairperson Ross to send an email with their request? And then we can work that into a future?
She can do it from the dais or email you.
Okay.
And again, not to be too attorney-y, but please do not CC your fellow commissioners. Just the most basic rule for Brown Act compliance. There's a lot of nuances. I don't want to bore you with all of them. You can reach out to me individually, but just the safest way to approach communication, you can communicate with staff 100%. Staff can communicate with you each as an individual 100%. Do not CC your fellow commissioners because you inadvertently can walk yourself right into a Brown Act violation just like that. So just that's my only advice on email communication. Please do not CC your fellow commissioners. And fellow commissioners, please do not take this as a personal affront or anything. It's the advice universally applied to all of you, and it's simply because of Brown Act compliance concerns.
And we want to make sure that we're all in compliance.
Yes.
And so I appreciate that you're here as well. I'm sure the rest of our commission is as well. So from here, I forget what you referred to this as, from the something?
The dais.
The dais.
Your official
Okay,
yes,
so I can state it here.
Yeah.
So I would like to request that the meetings are moved to 6 p.m. just to reflect like city council and other meetings so that the community can attend more easily to remove that barrier. And then for also people to participate on the commission, because I know a lot of reasons why people don't participate on the commission is because they have to work, they have schedules that conflict. And I would always like to see as much diverse representation and equal opportunity for people to be on commissions as possible, not for just those that are privileged enough to be able to come during business hours during the week. And then I would like to meet at least once a month, if not bi-monthly. I think to, especially at the request of Leah Brown, to have shorter meetings. I feel like if we didn't feel the pressure of having to get everything done for the next 2 months, that we're only getting to talk every 2 months. I mean, there's no communication in any relationship that we would have outside of this where something would move at the pace of 2 months for back and forth and be effective, especially since you talked about how the ordinance, there's even after the first reading, then the second reading, then there's a period of time. And so if we're meeting every time, I mean, that means that things would take years.
And that's just for
potentially.
ordinance, but yes.
And
ordinance
that's the
has
council's
its own. And
timeframe,
that's
not
council's
yours.
timeframe.
Yeah.
Yes, because you guys will not be passing you don't have the authority to pass an ordinance.
But we would send things to be
Yes.
changed. And that, so in the scheme of the design, it would then mean that things that we're trying to work on with city council would take years.
Candidly, it depends on the thing you're trying to work on. The reason I brought up the ordinance is because to change your meeting time, because it's in an ordinance, it takes an ordinance. There are things that the city council does via resolution that that timeline doesn't apply to, but ordinances are their own unique special beast, and when we're in ordinance rule, that's the ordinance world, that's the process.
And then I would also like to have a resolution. I know that the traffic committee was disbanded, and when I spoke with some members from city council, it was stated that our BPAC commission was really the community's voice in regard to, because the traffic commission didn't have, it was comprised of only city staff. And so I would like to look at that being redirected to the BPAC commission instead of to city staff, so that things would go through the BPAC commission.
That too would require city council, but what I think I hear you saying is that you would like for consideration by this body, a resolution addressing what you just expressed. So
Yes,
that would
we
be
would
the,
take the traffic committee and then, as it's been disbanded, instead of it being placed onto city staff, that it would go through the commission, and then to city council.
okay. And again, sorry, I don't mean to be the adult that says no all the time, but you can't discuss it. The larger body cannot discuss these requests. That's the purpose of the next meeting because they're not properly agendized. So, but yes, got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for stopping us prior to us creating a
Yep,
violation.
that's what
I
I'm
think
here
that
for.
That's
Not
what
a problem.
we're all just trying to make sure we get educated and we can get to where we know these things. And so then we're more efficient so that all city staff can go home. We can go back to the things that we need to do.
Absolutely.
Apologies, Councilman Chambers? Commissioner, apologies.
No worries. On the same agenda item, subject request to add items to future agenda, I would like to add a request specifically when it comes to the removal of crosswalks and what that is, if that needs to be an action item or a resolution for city council on how that goes about.
Thank you, Commissioner Kaiser Grant.
I would like to defer to Commissioner Shu and go after.
Commissioner Shu?
So I want to thank Rhonda again for your all the information you're providing. I think it's been helpful to all of us. I just want to propose an agenda item where and I know, Leah, you have to go through all these items of interest, and that's super overwhelming. And I see that this process, the list is created like largely from us just as individual council members kind of bringing up an item. And there's because we can't have discussion about it, right? And so it's not clear the priority level, or it's not clear if everyone's on board. And so I'm just wondering, can we have an agenda item where we can discuss these, kind of go through this list maybe prior to our next meeting, if it can be on the agenda, and then just have a quick discussion of what we actually would even prioritize and maybe even potentially eliminate some, or just really deprioritize some of these so you don't even have to look at it, because just given the time frame, you just, like how things move so slowly and our time is so limited. And I just, for efficiency's sake, I'm wondering if we can do that.
Can you individually email me the list? Can you print it out and?
Prioritize?
Yeah,
Oh,
that would save some
sure.
time. Is that okay with everybody? And if you want to print it out and write on it and then give those back to me anytime, if you have the ability to scan it and email it, that's the easiest way in my opinion, because I have access to a scanner. But if you don't, bring it into my office and I can, that'd be great. Thank you.
And so is this only for voting members, or is this for anyone that is in the diocese?
You are all members of the public, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't all participate.
I mean, can the public do it too?
The public can come during public comment and comment on anything in your purview. So yes, in that mechanism, they can, with respect to efficient government. Part of your role here is to advise on what you think the priorities should be to city council. And because of the way 2.52 is listed, staff also has a substantial role in what the priorities are, as obviously does city council. We're all here working for city council. So can the public? Yes, but an important function, candidly, is clear prioritization, which is where I think you were headed as well. But the public can always come and participate, and they don't have to come to the meeting. As Vicki read in the preamble, if you will, on how to participate in public, or for anybody who has pulled down your agenda and gone to the City of Merced website, there's an email available by which they can communicate to you, the commissioners, before the meeting. That becomes part of the record as well. So there are a variety of opportunities for public participation.
Okay, great. So then so the revised proposal might be for this agenda item would be if we all did prioritize the list or make notes for Leah, if then in our next meeting, if we had done that, if Leah could then show us sort of the general consensus so that we could potentially at least discuss a few things, but hopefully efficiently, if that makes sense, because it still might require a next layer of conversation with the commission.
If I can piggyback, I think that's why, because I think, throwing into the public, all of the public, I think we're really all just trying to really focus on us as a commission, and how we can prioritize the discussions that we as a commission have and get placed on the agenda. And then I wanted to make a comment on, I know that there's email and phone and other ways, but community is really built in person. We saw that during the pandemic when we started doing all these things virtually. It is not the same to build and strengthen our community as people being able to gather. And so that also reinforces why I'm asking to move the time and the frequency so that we can meet and gather and grow strong as a community so that the community feels like they're being reflected in and being part of, even though they're not up here, they're being a part of the decisions that are going to City Council and being enacted upon on their behalf for their community. So we need to wrap up or take a break because city staff need to do that. I'm assuming because of their timing, because they're on the clock. So would we like to take a break or would we like to wrap up before next meeting?
I don't know what the staff is required to do, but these are my last minutes of the Bicycle Advisory Commission. I do have a couple of comments to make. They wouldn't take long, but I wouldn't, if you have to stop, then I would have to say.
We do have 3 people waiting to speak. One, you, and then 2 more. So I would like to motion that we take a quick break because we weren't prepared and we still are learning. And I would like us to get as much under our belt as we can, especially to have all of us feel like for next meeting we're prepared so that we can be as concise as possible.
Second.
Let's take a break. 10 minutes, 15? 5. But then we still have the comments, right? That's what I'm waiting for. Yeah, because we still have to do this section before adjournment. All right, we're ready to resume. So we are still on request to add items to future agendas. Commissioner Martinez?
Yes, thank you. And I would like to use a little bit of a point of view, if I may indulge, privilege or clarification for future agenda items. Just because, if I'm not mistaken, under the municipal code, it was mentioned that our meetings end at 5, and of course, being considerate of our city staff, if we did want to continue, because right now it's 6:17, so we've gone over an hour, and I do recognize our city staff also have their private personal calendars to go for. So I think it would be great if we were able to, for a future agenda, either I would like to propose trying to figure ways to keep it within the 1 hour mark until city council can, if there is a resolution that's passed, until we get there. Just because in the municipal code, it does say that the meetings are to be held within business hours. So in my head, I see it, either we start at 3 to end at 5, or we start at 5, or if we start at 4, we end at 5. Just being considerate of the municipal code, not trying to go away from that, just trying to ensure that we stick to what is in our municipal code, so that way we are in consideration of that. And for the other one, it was just, so if that could happen, senior planner, that would be great. And the other one is that I looked at our items, senior planner Leah, and I see that we have like over 20 items, and like 5 items or 6 were proposed today, and there's only one of you. So I'm just really wary as of what will be the priority. Maybe at the next meeting, we can discuss an option to prioritize, or how do we prioritize? Because I know as a multitasker, working on a lot of items at the same time can be a little bit hard. So I guess those are just my 2 different action items. Again, one is the first one, trying to see we can do something, or whether it's a resolution or among us, to ensure that we command to the city's municipal code of conducting our business during business hours. But the second one being, how do we prioritize all the action items that we approved on E2, plus the ones that have been mentioned so far and may still be mentioned after my comments. Thank you. That'd be it for my G1.
Oh, apologies. Commissioner Thomas?
With regards to proposing changes, sending an action item to the city council requesting changes to the ordinance that defines this body, I think probably a more succinct way to approach it would be to have a action item that embodies the totality of changes that we would like to see to this body in the ordinances. Because I think realistically, we're only going to get one shot at it. I don't think anyone's going to have the time, capacity, or patience to work with us to amend that ordinance piecemeal. So we should make sure that we get all of the changes that we want to this body done the first time if we're going to attempt this. So rather than narrowly defining the action item now, I would like to request that the item added is an action item to request changes to the ordinance that defines the BPAC. And leave it a little bit more open-ended for discussion for that meeting. So we've got time to ruminate on what changes, the totality of changes that we want to see, and then have that discussion.
Commissioner Kaiser Grant?
Mine is for G2, so we'll wait until we get there.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments for G1? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to G2. Commissioner comments.
And, okay, so this is my last, like I said, a few minutes in the BPAC. I should have had another year, and so my comment to you is to check your terms when you are appointed and reappointed, to learn that I was reappointed not to a 4-year term, but to fill someone else's 2-year term. After 2 years, that's not considered a full term, so you can apply for another full term, which would have added on to my time. But I learned that they forgot to tell me, and so I accidentally served another year. Now I'm not eligible to apply again. So I'm leaving a year early through, I really don't know what. I do intend to find out. I don't think there's anything nefarious, but there was a problem. Keep a close eye on your terms. I would rather be here for the next year. I'll be out there. That'll be pretty good too. I will not be subject to the Brown Act rules, so please feel free to email me, and I will be able to attend non-public meetings with people. Everybody should know, well, I'd like to repeat this, the Bicycle Coalition meets the first Saturday of every month at noon at Coffee Bandits. Do check Facebook and our website in case there's a reason why we can't do that, can't meet. We can meet there in our public meetings with no fear of violating the Brown Act. So we invite you one and all, come and discuss anything and everything. And yeah, signing off 15 years on the BPAC, founding member, took my 2-year break after the first 2 terms. Who knows, maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll just like it out in the audience. So if you ever need something brought up by the public, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Commissioner, I know that, like you said, you're a founding member of 15 years, and we're so glad that you're still going to be coming to our meetings and helping us through. It's a beautiful part of the community design being built here. Commissioner Ewing?
Yeah, I just had a little brief update. The Merced Police reached out a couple days ago, and they're wanting to work on educational material and or stuff for their social media that they can actually post. And they're actually going to be coming into the bike shop tomorrow. We're going to be doing little interviews and how-tos or exactly what are Class e-bikes, because nobody knows, and neither do the police officers I talked to when they were talking about it. Like, what is a Class 1? What is a Class 2? What's a Class 3? So they have reached out, and we're working with them to do some of that. Yeah, so I just wanted to give a little update on that, but our community member took off.
Thank you. Commissioner Martinez?
Yes, so my current limited partial term ends July 1st, I'm assuming, or June 31st, midnight, however it works. I'm still do not know if I will be reapplying yet. I still have a couple of days till the 5 p.m. Friday deadline, but if there's any community member watching this virtually, you can go to the city of Merced and figure out how to serve for any boards and commissions, even the one that I hold, which is for District 6. The other one is that I continue to use the City of Merced Connect app. It's a great app the city has. I like to go on daily walks, and I get to document if there's any potential pedestrian hazards or hazards. And thankfully, the city has gotten better at responding. I'm really thankful that they've been responding within 7 or so business days on that information. And for my last point is just, I'm appreciative of the staff. I understand it's about 6:30 and the municipal code says business hours, so an hour and a half plus going past, but I'm appreciative of having the deputy city council here and our recording secretary and our secretary senior planner for staying along with us. It's a bit of a more technical meeting than I honestly expected, seeing like other commissions meet, but I'm just thankful to have you here for your support, so thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Chambers?
Thank you for a public comment right now and all of the staff that's here. I know that you guys have worked really hard, so I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to specifically talk about our young people out there that are using their bikes. I understand that maybe they may not be using it in the correct way, but I feel that as a educator for Merced City School District is a sense of community for them and a sense of camaraderie for our students to be physically active. And so as much as they can be a nuisance, I also feel that there is a sense of purpose for our young people out there who are utilizing their bicycles in a way that I think is also good, because if we look at our roads historically, they were made for pedestrians and bicyclists. And so we often have to also share the road. And I want to publicly also thank Lisa, Commissioner Kaiser Grant, for the commitment that she has and for the many years that she has been organized here to kind of give, some of our younger commissioners an opportunity to learn. And so I have so much gratitude for her. And, I'm sad that she won't be here, but I think that there are a lot of, people who are committed to our community of Merced, and I want that to continue.
Thank you so much. That concludes everyone that I had on the list to speak. Is everyone good? So can I move to motion to adjourn? Leah?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All of those in favor? Vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't aware. I knew that you were timing out. I just didn't realize. 15 years. So what is it that would make